Hi guys, and welcome back. If you're new around here, my name is May and we definitely talk way too much about handbags around here. Today is it's a special video. It's a special video because we're actually going to talk about a brand, the brand for me that started sort of like my luxury love for luxury pieces, luxury brands, and so on and so forth. And I kind of just wanted to do a little chit chat video, share with you what pieces I still own for this particular brand, and just kind of get you guys' feedback in regards to this topic. Really quick, please ignore my nails. Literally the same nails chipped at the same time and I did not have time to redo them. We're just gonna go ahead and ignore that. So let's dive right into today's video, and that is going to be talking about Louis Vuitton. I wanted to quickly share with you guys my Louis Vuitton collection, sort of like the pieces that I still have in my luxury handbags and sort of SLG collection at the moment. And then I kind of wanted to talk to you in regards as to why I've kind of just fallen out of love with this particular brand. So let's start off in the positive, and we're going to talk about the pieces that I still love and that I still own. Let's start off with one of my favorite pieces out of my collection, and that is going to be none other than my Speedy B25. I added this piece, I want to say about 3 years ago. I think we were right smack in the middle of COVID when I went ahead and added this piece. It was actually during that time where coming across certain canvas pieces was a real struggle. Like, you had to search for these pieces. It was funny because I didn't find it. My sister-in-law actually found it. She was at the mall and she's like, hey, I just stopped by the store and they said that they had it. And I was like, oh my God, I am going right now. I actually called the store, they picked up, and I was like, hey, listen, I'm on my way. I want this. Can you hold it for me? They said, yes, for sure, you can come in. I don't even think you can call a Louis Vuitton store right now and ask them to hold something for you. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, this was a piece that as soon as I got it, I was so happy to have. It was actually one that I was contemplating what print to get because actually, let me bring her into the picture also. This is another piece that I still have in my collection. This was actually my first designer handbag. It is the Speedy 35. My husband actually gifted me this bag on our 1-year wedding anniversary in Paris. So it's a forever piece for me. She's not going anywhere. But yeah, due to the fact that I had the 35 in the damier ebene, I knew that I wanted the Speedy B in the damier ebene, to be honest. But I was like, oh, do I really want to like kind of double them up? They're completely different bags, you guys. Like, you can totally have one and the other and you'll realize that you'll use them for completely different reasons. I ultimately wanted the damier ebene because it's such a carefree canvas. The coated leather also is so carefree, and I knew that I wanted to use this piece for travel purposes. So the Louis Vuitton monogram one was just a little bit too loud. It also had the vachetta, and then I didn't want to go the damier azur route. So two of my favorite pieces. Honestly, I don't think I will ever part ways for sure with this one, not at all. With this one, I mean, it has to be something, I guess, extreme, but I really just enjoy having her in my collection. I feel like I don't gravitate to her as much as I used to because I do now have a lot of handbags to kind of rotate through, thankfully. But it's still one of those that I really enjoy using it when I do grab her. Now, let's dive into one of my favorite small leather goods from the fashion house, and those are going to be my toiletry pouches. So I was lucky enough to be able to add all three, even though they are now back available on the website. And I actually think that it is a great deal that you get all three, I believe for under $1,600 or $1,500. I think that I calculated what these cost me at the time that I got them, and they were about like the $1,800-$1,900 mark. So you now get all three. You do have to buy all three together. That is the only downfall, unfortunately. If you are a fan of like these pouches and you missed out because they discontinued them at one point, just to bring out the same exact thing, but for you to be able to add a chain because, you know, we were all turning these into little like handbags. But if you are interested in these and you missed out back then, I think that the three kind of deal is a great sort of steal in a sense. But yeah, these are some of my favorites. I literally use them every single time we travel. I still have this one packed from our last little adventure. My 19 still has some things inside. And then my 15, I just interchange between my mini pochette, which we'll get into in a minute, But I'm super glad that I actually added all of... But I'm still very happy that I have these three. I honestly don't see myself parting ways with these either, just because of how functional they are for me and for my travel needs. I do feel like they each kind of serve their own purpose. And again, I'm just happy to have all three sizes. Talking about small leather goods, let's get into what I think is one of my favorite pieces from my Louis Vuitton collection, and that is simply because of like the little sentimental value that it does have. That is going to be this beautiful mini pochette pouch. Now, this was a limited edition from 2019, I believe, and it's funny because they are doing a new Christmas animation that's coming out this year, and I thought it was the cutest thing. It actually had like a little cup, which I thought was a coffee cup. So I was really considering whether or not I was going to add that one. And I was talking to Lula and a few of you when I posted it, because you guys, the mini pochettes, at least the Christmas animation ones, are going for $895. And I was just chatting with so many of you, like some of you had been able to add these pieces at like $300 and something. I was just like blown away as to how much these pieces have increased. And that kind of like leads me into the chatty portion of this video as to why I've kind of like sort of fallen out of love with the brand. I feel like they have also fallen out of love with their customers, and they're no longer taking like us into consideration in a way. I know that these are all luxury pieces and we choose whether or not we want to add them into our collection. There are things that we spend money on that it is kind of silly and ridiculous to many other people, but if that's what makes us happy and that's what we choose to spend our money on, then so be it. However, I do find that some of these are not worth the current price point. There are so many other cute pouches. Again, you can get the full set of like the toiletry pouches for $1,500 around there, where one of these will cost you $900. And yes, I know a lot of people say that this is a very practical piece because you kind of have the little wristlet chain on it. But to be honest, how many of us actually use this as anything else rather than just a pouch? Phones don't fit in here. I don't even think the like regular pros or like the smaller options fit in here. Unless you have a flip phone, then maybe yes. But you can't even carry your phone inside. It might be a cute little addition as like a little handbag, but is that really worth the price point that you're gonna pay? Like for $900, you can buy a full leather piece, which these are not leather pieces, they are canvas, and you can probably add like a little wallet or something from like a well-made contemporary brand. So again, all depends on you and if you've really just wanted the piece, because that is something that I always tell you guys, like if it is a piece that you want, do not go the alternative route. You're always gonna be thinking about the original one that you did want. So just save up for it if it is the one that you really want. But if it's not and you're okay with just having something else because you kind of want something that offers the same silhouette, there are so many different brands that have sort of like this same silhouette, which I will get into in a minute when I share another piece. But yeah, I'm kind of like overwhelmed or underwhelmed, better yet, with Louis Vuitton as a whole. I also do feel like they're just releasing collection after collection, and to me, honestly, they're kind of becoming like a fast fashion brand, which is what technically luxury is all against. So I just don't see how they are releasing like these collections one after the other, literally within weeks, when you're not giving like us a chance to even get to know the new collection that you just released 3 weeks ago. I love following Lula because she's very informative as to all the collections that Louis Vuitton comes out with. But sometimes I see a video and then I see another video the next week and I'm like, are you kidding me? Is this a new collection? Like, it's just too much for my personal opinion. It kind of loses like the... is it allure? I would love to hear you guys' thought down below. I would love to hear what you guys think of Louis Vuitton. I do feel like Louis Vuitton for a lot of people was that sort of like introductory brand into luxury, even though a lot of us were adding canvas pieces, and those canvas pieces are not leather. These canvas pieces, I do believe, are extremely durable. I mean, my Speedy 35, I think, is 12 or 13 years old, and it looks just as good as my Speedy 25 does. So these canvas pieces really hold the test of time. For the most part, I have heard horror stories, but for the most part, they're pretty good. And then we all saw sort of like the transition of the fashion house wanting to go like the leather route. They have released a lot of beautiful leather pieces, but I don't think they have achieved what they wanted to achieve when they went ahead and made that transition. So again, chat with me in the comment section down below. You guys know I love chatting with you and hearing your feedback, as long as we're all respectful of one another's opinions. Moving on to another classic in my collection, and that is going to be my Louis Vuitton Neverful. I do have the size, and this is in the monogram canvas. I did think about selling this one. I actually did a vlog sale and I did include this piece in there. I didn't get a lot of interest, so I thought, you know what, there's no need for me to let go of this piece. It's honestly just a classic. I just don't gravitate to it as much anymore because I don't use large bags. I could ultimately use her as a travel piece, but I have another one which I'll share in a moment. So it was just something that I wasn't using, and I thought that maybe somebody else would be interested in using. Didn't work out that way. Totally fine. She's staying in my collection. But yes, I love the Louis Vuitton Neverful. I feel like this tote is a classic tote. Any tote lover, I think, at one point or another has or still has this piece in their collection. The LV monogram is a little bit more of a flashy sort of canvas, but you also have it in the Damier Azur and the Damier Ebene option. Louis has now released it in leather options as well, which I haven't heard great feedback from. But if you wanted to go that route, you do have that option also. Do I feel like the $2,000 price mark for this specific piece at the moment is worth it? Again, it's one of those that if you just really love this style of handbag and have always wanted to add it in your collection, and now is the moment that you can, then absolutely save up for it and go ahead and add it. I don't think you'll regret it. Now, if you are like contemplating and you're like, oh, is it not, is it not, I honestly think that you can find other tote bags, even all leather tote bags, for a lot less than the $2,000 price range. Let us know in the comment section down below if you agree, if you don't agree, if you do think that the $2,000 price mark at the moment is worth it for this particular piece. Moving on to that travel piece that I was mentioning, and that is my Keepall 45. I do have a video. I don't know if it was like a review video or what. If I do remember which one it is, I'll link it down below. But I do mention in that video how if I could go back in time, I wouldn't necessarily have added this particular piece for travel purposes, just because I do feel like even though I have the Damier Ebene print, it is a piece that I care for. I don't baby it because it is a travel piece and I use it as a travel piece, but I do care for it because I know how damaged it can get while we are traveling. That is my personal item whenever we travel. It is actually the largest size, which is the 45, which you can use as a personal item. You do have a 50 and you do have a 55, but those you would have to check underneath, and I am definitely not checking a $2,000 piece underneath. I like it just because it allows me to carry a lot more when we are traveling, and the Damier Ebene is definitely, again, more of that sort of carefree canvas and with the coated leather as well. Heading into the last piece in my Louis Vuitton collection, and this is where I said that I wanted to share with you guys a little bit of an alternative. But let me share first the piece, and this is another one of those kind of like memorable sort of pieces. It is the LV key pouch, or the key clay, I think it is. And it is again in a limited edition. This one is with Vivienne riding her little bike through Place Vendôme in Paris. I love anything Paris related just because my husband and I lived in Paris for quite some time. So it definitely has a special place in our hearts. But also added it at a premium of a price, in my opinion. He did get it from the boutique, but this one I think was like 400 and something. I know, it pains me to say it. Again, do I think it's worth it at this point in time? Honestly, unless you have sort of like a little sentimental value to it, or you want it as a collector's piece, because I think even in the resale market, they pretty much are not going for that much higher. So again, I just added it because it was more of like a sentimental piece for me. But I did want to share with you guys, which I recently got thanks to a beautiful individual here, which I have met through YouTube, my friend Autumn. She was kind enough to actually send me this key pouch, and this is from Dress Up Your Purse. I think everybody knows of this brand if you know sort of like of luxury pieces, because she has actually done a ton of similar styles and silhouettes of Louis Vuitton's styles and silhouettes of handbags and small leather goods. Her pieces are actually all leather made. I believe she uses Togo leather or sort of like the same embossed kind of leather. And I do have to say that it is an extremely soft leather. The interior is kind of like a raw, it reminds me of the Picatinny, because you do have like this raw lining, which is really, really nice as well. And honestly, I do think that the leather option of these pieces will actually give you a little bit more give than the canvas. The canvas are a little bit more rigid. Guys, this is 45 bucks. I think my friend Mel here has a discount code or something like that, so I'll make sure to link it on the screen in case you're interested. I am not affiliated or collaborating or anything like that. As I said, this was a gift from my beautiful friend Autumn, and I really appreciated that she sent it to me because I get to do kind of like a little comparison for you guys. But $45, all leather, ton of different color options. But again, we go back to what I've initially been mentioning. If this is a piece that you've ultimately always wanted to add, you've wanted to have in your handbag collection, in your SLG collection, then save up and get, you know, the regular monogram or regular damier Ben. I think those are still under $300 if I'm not mistaken. But I personally feel like there are different routes that you can go if you just want to have sort of like the same silhouette. I have said this previously, but a lot of like the fashion houses, luxury, contemporary, mid-range, they all kind of get inspiration from one another. And I know it's crazy, and I have actually chatted with one of you on Instagram, Lena, and we kind of were talking about the fact of like, how do we feel of like certain small businesses kind of re-releasing the same styles and silhouettes of like luxury designer houses. I would love to hear what your opinion is in regards to that down below. Again, I feel like some of these fashion houses are pricing pieces very, very high, and it's no longer attainable to the average working person. I have to set aside funds in order to buy my luxury pieces. So I understand when somebody says, I'm not spending that amount of money on that particular piece. I totally get it. So yeah, guys, I don't want to go on a rant. I want this video to be semi-happy-go-lucky. So I just wanted to share with you guys what's left of my Louis Vuitton collection. I don't see myself adding anything else as of now from the fashion house. Nothing really calls my attention. As I said, I just feel like they release the same thing over and over, just in a different print or just in a different color or just in a different texture. So let me know what your thoughts are in regards to that matter down below. Let me know what pieces you still own from Louis Vuitton and you still love. As always, thank you guys for taking some time to hang out with me today, and I hope to catch you all in my next one. Bye everyone.